Okay, this is now the 5-minute tarot for the 29th of May 2017. This is like the 6th time I've tried this today, so I'm hoping this one works. Usually I'm okay. I know what I'm going to say and I sit and talk and it works okay, but I kept getting stuck, which may be telling me something. So I'm not quite sure. I'm now thinking I shouldn't have mentioned that, but maybe tomorrow or the next day I'll understand why or what the significance is of getting stuck. So maybe it'll end up being useful. Okay, so the 5-minute tarot for the 29th of May. And we're continuing on with this Celtic cross. The person wanted to know how could he improve his financial situation. So at this point, we've got to card number 7. And the 7th card is the Empress reversed. So the card here tells us something about the questioner, how he or she is reacting to what we've told them at the time we turn over the card. So here we've got the Empress, but it's reversed. So it's a bit like there's a barrier between us, or between the reader and the questioner. So it's a bit like the questioner doesn't agree. So the Empress, see, I'm confused again. I'm stuck. I don't know whether that means that what I'm about to say is completely wrong or whether there's something else going on. But I'll let you see my state of confusion because it may make sense to you. So anyway, okay, so we've got the Empress reversed, and the Empress can represent comfort. So it may be that the questioner doesn't think he's going to end up being comfortable. So he wants to know, can he improve his financial situation? The Empress, which can represent wealth and position and security and comfort, is upside down. So is this telling us that he thinks he's not going to be able to have the level of comfort and wealth that he actually wants? And this can be a problem because we just told him with the Magician as what will come that he's going to have a new beginning and a chance of a new start to set him on a new phase of development, let's say, because it's 1. But with the Empress reversed following that, it's a bit like he doesn't believe you. He doesn't believe it's going to happen. And it means that he goes into the Magician experience of new possibilities, but he's already defeated because he doesn't think he can make it work. At the moment, he doesn't think he can make it work. So maybe we need to reassure him or deal with his doubts or his objections before he ever gets to the Magician point. So we might then say, so it's a bit like he needs to be reassured, but we don't want to make it up and tell him everything will be okay. We want to use the cards that have come up so far. So we go back to the beginning, the 7 of Cups reversed, and the opposing force was the 8 of Swords. So the first card is the atmosphere surrounding the question. So it can be about the questioner, but it's also a general atmosphere of people out there in the world, the people he knows, people he associates with, maybe the people he works with. They're confused, they've got too many choices, and the opposing force is the 8 of Swords, so they're fearful, or they feel stuck, or they feel trapped. They don't think that they have freedom to move around. So we say to him, okay, that's what people generally think, but you don't have to believe them. You don't have to follow along. You don't have to follow their lead. So, okay, they're fearful, they're stuck, but just because they're stuck, it doesn't mean you've got to be stuck as well. So that's a kind of point of logic that you point out to the person. You also can remind him, look at the foundation card that was the Wheel of Fortune. So this applies to you personally. You, the questioner, personally, and it's an indication that you are when it comes to your finances, you're directly affected by the Wheel of Fortune. So there'll be times when it's taken away, but there's going to be other times when you're given all sorts of good opportunities. And those opportunities are going to come back to you. So this Wheel of Fortune applies to you personally. So be ready for the future. And if you are ready for the future and suspend your doubts, you'll find good developments are possible. And maybe what you do as well, depending on what kind of conversation you've had, is you remind him of earlier times when there were chances and when he took them and when maybe good things developed. At the same time, the Empress, we can see, represents comfort. But because it's reversed, maybe he wants an easy answer, or he wants an easy get-rich-quick scheme to improve his financial situation. But that, because the Empress is reversed, that's not the way to go. There isn't an easy, simple solution. Well, maybe it's a simple solution, but there's work involved. And it's not like he's suddenly going to win a lottery, and suddenly he's got all this money. So it's not going to work like that. So looking for the easy way out or the easy way to go isn't going to work for him. He's going to have to put effort into it. But if he relies on comfort and ease, that's going to get in the way. And at the same time, we can think the Empress is sociable. And because the Empress is upside down, maybe he wants too much contact with other people. He wants to be too involved with them. I say too involved because the card is reversed. With the Empress upright, he wants to be quite involved. The Empress reversed, he wants to be too involved with other people, but he's better to go it alone. Or maybe the opposite's true, that he needs to learn to work with people. And how do we know? You ask him. Sometimes we have to ask the questioner. So we say, this card can mean this or this. Which is it? You know yourself. You know how you've been living. What would you say is the answer to the question? So are you too dependent on other people, looking for them to reassure you and tell you things are going to be good? Or do you recognize that you really do need a bit more contact with other people? And in the light of what the person says, you move on with the reading. And I'm reminded a bit at this point of Roger Hamilton and his idea that there are 4 types of people. You've got creative types who are good at coming up with ideas. You've got people who are really good with people. They're sociable. They're good in PR. Then you get people who are good at timing. They know when to act, when to hold back. And other people are good at setting up systems. And these are 4 different approaches to living or to developing a business or certain kinds of work habits. And so he says, so maybe with the Empress reversed, the questioner, he's too dependent on other people, or he's really good with people. And so what you do is, according to Roger, is you capitalize on and develop and stick with what you're good at, and you hire other people to do the other stuff that you're not very good at. So if you're not very good at setting up systems, you hire somebody to set up a system for you rather than spend your time producing a not very good system, whereas you may be very creative, you're good at coming up with ideas. So what you do is come up with the ideas and let other people put them into place for you. So the questioner might like to think about which of the 4 types of people he is and what are his strengths and develop them, and let other people take care of the qualities or the experiences that he's not very good at. At the same time, I can't help but think that the Empress is a woman, and we just had that reverse Queen of Cups the reverse Queen of Cups. So maybe he's going to be tempted. And it's a reminder, don't be tempted by the woman who suggests a get-rich-quick scheme. At the same time, if we remember the question, it was how can he improve his finances? But the Empress, who can represent wealth and comfort, is upside down. So maybe the point for him is, and I think I mentioned this a couple of cards ago, scale back. You don't need the latest and most expensive gear. You can rent or borrow or develop a partnership with somebody who already has the equipment or the office space or whatever it is that you need. So these are various possibilities for the Empress reversed in the present position. So we've been talking about the Empress as representing other people. And at this point, maybe we turn the 8th card, which shows the influence of other people. And here we find the reverse Page of Swords. So other people are not much help because they're fearful, because Page of Cups, the Page of Swords rather, reverse, is afraid. So other people are fearful. And if we remember back to that, to the beginning with the opposing force of the Eight of Swords, people feeling trapped and stuck. So it's a bit like it reinforces the idea that if the questioner depends on other people, he's going to get back doubt and fear, and they're going to tell him things like, what's the point? It's not going to work anyway, or your idea isn't very good, because people are full of negativity and explaining to you why it's not going to work instead of what can we do to make it work. So it's a bit like the people with the Page of Swords reversed. Other people have a sword which can cut through problems, but they don't know how to use it. They could free themselves, going back to that Eight of Swords, but they don't know how. So how can this person, the questioner, improve his financial situation? Not by turning to other people. They're going to reinforce his doubts. So what we do is we get the questioner to be ready for when the magician, the new beginning, comes along. Because otherwise he's going to let the opportunities slip. Okay, I don't know how this sounds, what it's like, because it was quite, I began it several times. I got stuck partway through. So tomorrow we're going to look at the 9th card, hopes and aspirations, or hopes and wishes, and it's a 5 of batons. And the 10th card, the final outcome, is the 2 of swords. So you might have an immediate thought about what those 2 cards mean. Write it down right now if you've got an idea of what you think it means, but then think about it later, because I think tomorrow's conclusion, I think, might surprise you. Okay, thank you very much for watching. I hope this turns out to be okay. It was a struggle. Okay, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.